So safety actually might be uncomfortable. I think I mentioned this earlier, but let's go a little bit deeper into this. Safety might be uncomfortable. Accessing those ventral vagal safety pathways, I think, are generally possible for anybody. In my opinion, we do have those pathways. They are there. Maybe they're not as developed. Maybe they're not as strong in some of us, but they're there. And from my work in therapy, what it seems like is that the capacity to activate these pathways to feel more safety is generally there. I don't think I've met with someone where I felt like that was not possible. And on a biological level, I'm not like doing scans, I can't tell, but on a behavioral level, on a thought level, on a ability to connect with people, all those top level things are there. Now, can I, do a scan and see what the pathways are being active? Like, no, I can't. Generally possible, but it might not be easy to do. Absolutely, 100%. And when these pathways are active, when we are in our safety state, it is really easy to miss. And it could be fleeting. It could kind of be in and out. Maybe like right now, think about who do you appreciate from your past that back then you didn't. So think back, is there anyone in your life, maybe a teacher, a coach, family member, someone that back then you didn't appreciate, but now you actually have a lot of appreciation for them? It could be a family member, it could be a teacher, it could be a coach, a pastor, family, friend, whatever it is. And this comes up in therapy a lot, where we think back to our past and we say, you know what, I did feel safe around that person. I didn't recognize it then, I didn't appreciate it, but it was there. It was there. Because we're not mindful enough of what it feels like to be in safety, especially when we exist in more of a dysregulated defensive state. So it's really easy to miss. There's no judgment here. It is what it is. But when we look back, we might say, oh, there was that person, there was that time, that environment where I did truly feel safe or trust or vulnerability. I just missed it when it was there. And part of that might be because it's uncomfortable. I would encourage you as a daily practice to look out for these moments of safety, these moments of connection, to notice when you might have more capacity to smile or to connect with people, because it is there generally. These impulses that we feel to connect with people actually can be difficult. You might notice there's a shift. You might notice that within you, oh, there is this impulse, but it's still difficult to like follow that impulse and actually go connect with somebody or actually show somebody your smile or to hug or whatever it is. There might be an impulse to connect, but then it's just difficult to go through with it because safety can be vulnerable. It can be, you can feel not vulnerable, but exposed. I think vulnerable is when we're safe, we can open up and be vulnerable people. That's different than feeling more defensive and just feeling like you're exposed, like you're open to danger, you're open to threat. So there might be an impulse for these things to happen, but it's too uncomfortable. It's not vulnerability, and now it's felt as exposure. So when this happens, when we do have these impulses to connect or to smile, to feel vulnerability, to feel trust, that in and of itself, having those experiences can be so different and so new and so uncomfortable and so exposed that it sends us right back down our polyvagal ladder, back into a defensive state like flight, fight, shutdown, or even freeze potentially. And again, if you have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to the polyvagal theory, listen to my podcast, Stuck Not Broken, episodes 101 through 109, or go to justinlmft.com. I have the Polyvagal 101 course. So as you're doing, whatever practice you have in place, I hope you do have something that you're doing to actively stimulate your safety pathways or to feel more in the present moment, to feel more grounded. And that's what building safety anchors is all about. Hopefully you can notice these as they do arise. Those pathways may activate enough for you to soften those more defensive feelings. So when you feel that impulse to connect with somebody else, or you feel that impulse to breathe deeply and just look inward, that can be uncomfortable, that can be scary. But the more you have your safety pathways active, those defensive kind of reactions to safety, if that makes sense, that'll soften, and your capacity to engage in those connections might increase. And it's really important that you mindfully notice as these things come up, be with them, feel them, and allow it to be there, and then hopefully act on that impulse. Even if you do feel a little bit of safety, even if you're alone, like let's say you're alone doing some meditation or yoga or playing with your kids, whatever it is, and you feel that safety and you notice it, just like be with it, and then make that conscious decision to smile. Even though it might feel weird, make that decision to like, I notice it, I feel it, let me act on this and just do a small thing and just smile. Or if you can, like connect with somebody, connect with your pet, that'd be fine too. Is your safety anchors course based on Deb Dana's books? It's based on the polyvagal theory, and I think Deb Dana and I have our own ways of applying it that probably have a lot of overlap. So no, I wouldn't say it's based on her books exactly. I think I've only read one of them, The Polyvagal Theory and Therapy. The other two I started and I haven't finished. It's actually very, I would say, a lot different, because what she brings to the table is she brings a lot of exercises and techniques, and it's like bam, 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 bam. And she does invite you to figure out what works for you. And I kind of take the opposite approach, which is I have no idea what works for you. I do have some ideas, but the course is more about the concept of safety. Here's some potential pathways to safety, like music, your senses, memories. That's the last one because I think it's the most difficult. The environment. So there's 6 different paths that I lay out. I teach you about them, and then I, on a daily practice, guide you through how do you figure out what works for you, and then how to build on those. It's different. They're both, Deb Day and I both base our stuff on the polyvagal theory, and like once you get that, activating the safety pathways, discharging stuck defensive energy, it kind of has there's going to be a lot of overlap. So it's not exactly based on her work. It's based on polyvagal theory and my interpretation of it, and then my what I've learned from applying it in therapy and whatnot.